Welcome to another radio video, and this is another video about my QSL card collection. So here are 4 more cards that we'll talk about. Some nice cards on this video. Very colorful radio Jamahiriya. This is Lybia, and basically this is a voice of Lybia. But back then they were called radio Jamahiriya, and they were quite easy to hear on 11.816 with English programs from 2230 to 2400 hours UTC with all sorts of programming. Back then Libya was on basically a black list of the United States, so it was one of those socialist states with Gaddafi, which was the military leader that would have full control. So and now we know how Libya is actually in turmoil with what happened when Gaddafi was killed, and actually really unfortunate, these things that happened there. So here is the back of the card, my name and address of back then and your information. Thank you for reception report on March 26, 1984 at 23:24 UT on 11.815, which was 11.816. I probably put 11.815 because my receiver back then was a analog DX100. So if I heard them, probably did not realize that they were off, and so they were actually on 11.816 apparently here. So very nice QSL card from Libya, very nice. This one has a little story behind it that's quite interesting. Back in the 80s, I would listen to shortwave with my best friend that would live basically about 2 streets, 2 corner blocks from where I live here. What happened is when I had my first shortwave radio, he found that so fantastic that he asked his parents for a shortwave radio for Christmas, and we ended up having exactly the same radio receiver. So we would actually meet up together, and sometimes in person, but sometimes we would actually listen to shortwave via the phone, each at our home. So this card comes from a report that we actually made on the phone together back in June 29, 1983, and I remember it was really warm. It was so hot inside that it was almost impossible to really stay indoors. And I remember we listened to the station for at least half an hour to have program details. And I had a better antenna and less noise than he had, so I actually relayed him the program details via the phone so that he could send a report. So basically we sent our report together the same day. We were at the post office and we sent the letter, and it took a lot of time. The report was for June 1983, and I remember I received this card in February of 1984. And why I remember that is because the day I received this letter, we had a really big snowstorm. So it's the kind of details that you remember. Receiving an exotic card and with a snowstorm outside. That's one story. And so what was funny is that I received it. He didn't have nothing in his mailbox, so it was kind of a little mad, you know. It's like, why you have it and I don't? I say, well, maybe it's delayed, maybe you'll have it tomorrow or in the coming week. We send it together. He finally received it, and what was funny is that in the envelope was a letter stating that his letter was lost in Nigeria, and somebody actually took the time to take the letter and bring it to the station by himself. And there was all the little details that, well, you know, your letter got lost, we're sorry, somebody brought us this letter, and that was in his mailbox, and so we that's why it took so long. And quite a story, and it's one of those little stories that's just so funny about the hobby of radio listening. So Voice of Nigeria, still exists today, still exists on 7255 actually, and from Lagos, 2130 UTC in June 1983. If we look at the back of the card, here is fully handwritten here. Voice of Nigeria, External Service, 6th September. So imagine, I sent my report in June. The card is dated September, from what I see here. February, sorry. I just didn't. It's time to change my glasses, I think. February. And so I sent my report in June. 6th February is the date of this card, which means it took quite a long time, but I received it about a week or two after, so during, like I said, a big snowstorm. So for a report, you can see the error because it says 1984 while the report was for 1983. What happened is something's wrong here. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Kind of difficult to make it out. Yeah. So it's June 83. So actually the guy or girl that made this card, you can see that put 1984 because it was 1984. He didn't think that it was for 1983. And so that's why the year is not right on the card itself. It's really June 1983. And actually it wasn't logical because June 29, 1984, while the card is in February. You see that doesn't work out. 7255 with the transmitter. So this is Voice of Nigeria. So a big story. Sorry for the little mix-up here. I was a little lost for a second. Voice of Nigeria, nice card. I really enjoyed having that. Time signal WWVH in Hawaii. So I sent them a report one evening. I was hearing this station on 15 megahertz through the WWV signal, of course, because sometimes when we do listen at night, we hear underneath the WWVH. So this is a Hawaii time signal for a report of May 24th, 1983. Old cards, eh? 1983. Wow, that's 30 years ago. And finally, one of the powerhouse signals from Venezuela for so many years on 4980 is Ecos del Torbes. They were coming in really strong all the time. This is one of those big powerhouse signals in the tropical band. They left shortwave a few years ago, I believe. And so that was one of those regular Venezuela stations that you could hear in the tropical bands. Ecos del Torbes. And if you look here, it was sent directly, once again, with the stamps here and the postal stamp and a little Spanish here. So saying basically that they were kind of happy to for my reception report and that they wish me the best. So really nice. Ecos del Torbes from Venezuela. So hope you enjoy these videos, and 73.